I was making the point that the creation of the police itself by our then colonial masters was the police was created to serve their interests, not necessarily to serve public interest. In other words, because their interest was the exploitation sources, the then police was created to protect that interest. So, of course, after independence, we realized that, and then there have been several attempts to change that. Over time, too, the military dictatorship we've had, of course, I mean, I don't need to speak too much around it. Every Nigerian knows the adventures that the military had in our public space and in governance. And so that, too, has affected the police. In fact, there is a lot of books and reports that have written around how some elements in the military in terms of equipment, in terms of welfare, and that. Unfortunately, one particular regime, that of Babangida, has been cited the worst culprit in terms of that, denying the police funds and all of that, and it was deliberate in order to reduce the emphasis or the possibility that the police would, over time, be able to either counter or reduce the element of the military. So this is one of the, I would say, major challenges. Of course, other challenges have crept up with time. Corruption within the police is one of them.
Yes.
Abuse of the root engagement, human rights abuses within the police. Of course, NSAS is a depiction of that. The perception that there was significant human rights abuses by one element within the police. The training, of course, is another issue. You just need to go to the training centers or institutions of the police, and you would understand what I mean. Issues around welfare, promotion. Today, the average policeman who wants to be promoted would probably have to bribe his way to get that. In some instances, the uniforms, even for them to get the right uniforms, they have to either buy it themselves or sometimes even bribe those who issue those type of gears. And then there are several other elements, including their salary, including the equipment repository. So these are the issues that have led to the reform. Of course, we can also talk about deployment. The deeper you are within the city center, the higher you would see police presence. As you go out to our rural areas, it would start thinning. And so you can find yourself in perhaps a local government in Katsina. The governor came out recently to say that there are, I think, not more than 10 security personnel. And he cited, in fact, with just one vehicle in a whole local government in the state. So those are the issues that surround.
One moment, Dr. Adamu. Let me bring on our caller this morning, our first caller this morning, Reverend Dominic in Alimosho. Good morning, Reverend. Thank you for holding on.
Good morning, Chief Buhari.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for calling.
Please, I don't know if your guest will hear me. If you can hear me.
He can hear you. He can hear you.
Let me start with this. I don't like this English we speak in our nation. This word called reformed doesn't make sense to me.
Okay.
To me, what is supposed to make sense is equip our police. Let me give you information that is fresh. I was coming from Delta. I was coming from Delta State on Saturday, and my vehicle broke down on the way. So very late, around 10:30, 11, the vehicle that was coming from Lagos to Benin, these guys blocked it within Ejabode and Benin and kidnapped a lot of people. That may not be reported. This last Saturday, we ran into the bush, they kidnapped a lot of people. What I'm trying to say is the statistic our gate is giving. That statistic is the one that is reported. There's 1,001,000 people killed in Nigeria that's not reported. That's what, by the way. By 2016, Anova attacked me in my house here. So I went to the police in Gonto, which is my division. The police officer was hopeless and helpless. He said, Reverend, look at the two operational vehicles we have here. One of the operational vehicles, the engine of the vehicle is inside the vehicle. And now one has no tire. He said, Reverend, what do I do? I can't even move myself here or move my officers to attend to you. So the hopelessness of our police officers is on our face. This reform is supposed to be somewhere. It is equipped the police. You have trouble, I have trouble. If you pay me 1 million naira to be a police officer in Nigeria, God forbid. But when you go abroad, when you see how a police officer is equipped, you want to be like a police. When you see the gadgets around him, you want to be like a police. You pick our policemen. That is right the way. It is a will, not political will. It's a will of all Nigerians to make sure police work. Let me give you an example. A few days ago, EFCC showed us an estate in Abuja that was in trillions of millions. If that money that's stolen by one of us, if we put it in police, every division will have a 5 operational vehicle. So the issue is that, do we want, which kind of police does Nigeria want? This reform alone, for over 50 years I've been having reform. What is reform? Equip the police, make them functionable. They die every day to our shame. Unless we make up our mind to quit the police, the money we stole, they use the word we steal in Nigeria, is enough to make police efficient. Let's reform, equipment. How do we make police functionable? From Ejabode to there was no police officer on checking point. This one they could block the road, and I told people this last Saturday, I was on that road by 12:30 a.m. and there was no police officer. What kind of a nation it is? But we can see billions and billions stolen every day. Nobody has a name. That estate in Abuja has no name, but it was one of us. It is one of us. It's a Nigerian. With that money of that estate, it can equip Nigerian policemen and do what they, I don't know what to call reform, and reform them to the efficiency we need. Police are the worst here. I thought most of the times. If you see a police officer under the sun begging you 100 naira to drink pure water,
yeah.
pity this man who has children, who has wife, who has housing to pay, but he's standing under the sun begging for 100 naira for pure water. It's not shit to all our colleagues, in Cyclical. Include policemen. The way you put them everywhere, Nigeria will be better. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Reverend Dominic. A quite testy Reverend Dominic this morning, and I suppose people will understand where he's coming from, because when he made the comparison between here and yonder, that is other jurisdictions, other countries. You look at their police, and then you look at our police, and when you do the comparison, it isn't always favorable. Did you want to respond to any aspect of that? Because he seems to think that we've not got our priorities right. We're talking about reforms, yep, we understand that. But if we really were serious and committed, wouldn't we have done much better than it appears we are doing at the moment, is, I think, that the question that is embedded in his submission.
Yes, I agree with him totally. When I made my submission regarding the long history of attempted police reform, what I did not say is that my conclusion is that we have been cyclical in our attempt at police reform. We'll come out with beautiful, documents. The last time I checked, there are several, and any person who understands policing will, when you look at the reports written on police reform, you would marvel at the amazing work that has been done. An example is the Damadani report that most police officers are happy about and recommend as a model. And then if you, like I mentioned, even in the Renewed Hope agenda, police reform is mentioned. And there, even though, let me be a bit funny here, the Erufai report was cited. And unfortunately, we all know what has happened between Erufai and this administration. So we are not sure whether that element of the Renewed Hope agenda still stands, or because of what happened between the administration and Erufai, that aspect has now seen the dustbin. But on a serious note, police reform is there. And we know at the moment the discussion is around state police or not. And I think the last time the Economic Council met, they did mention, I think, about 4 states and FCT Abuja that were yet to submit their positions on police report. And of course, we also know that the National Assembly has moved quite fast in terms of collating consensus views on the issue of state police. So some traction is being made, and we're hoping that this administration will not also join in that cyclical manner with which the issue of police reform is being approached. At the end of the day, just like the Reverend mentioned, what we want is a functional and effective police.
Okay. One moment for Yakub in Dokpemu. Good morning, Mr. Yakub.
Yeah, very good morning, sir.
Thank you for calling.
And then good morning to Dr. Adamu.
Yes.
I totally agree with Dr. Adamu by extension. Then my friend Reverend Dominic with the submission that he made. For me, the first question is this. I think Dr. Adamu will answer this question very well because he has been part and parcel of this reform, quote and unquote. I want to believe that inside that reform that they were trying to project to Nigerian citizens by reforming the police, I want to believe that the kind of police we have in this country, they should be able to give them life insurance. I repeat, life insurance. I believe that life insurance must be able to include. I have my reason saying that. The question is this: the 229 people that have been killed for the past some months ago now, up to this moment, what is the responsibility of the government concerning their family? Are they being that their family are being taken care of? They didn't want to know. Because if I supposed to be a police in this country today, I would like to know, even something happened to me in the course of my job, my family that I left behind, they are not supposed to be suffer. Because I have a friend as a police, in fact, I have elder brother as a police, just retired last month or last 2 months ago. Because the issue is this: when they retire or something has happened to them, if you check their background and then look back to their family, you will know that these people, they are suffering. And then you will not ask yourself, does it work to be a police in this country? Does it work? So if the Nigerian government, and then by extension, all Nigerian citizens, we can be able to say, yes, a police officer in this country, it is a Nigerian, a carry Nigerian flag that we are that close to be a police in this country. Because, and then especially, I want to say this, maybe because they are not giving them what they really need. I noticed some certain things, and then people that pass this road that I'm about to mention, they will say, yes, it is true. Especially if you go from Tongo, let's say from Toge down to Ifo, there is a particular junction or bus stop rather, you will meet a gang of police officers. I think there are 5 or 6 in number. I've been seeing this very particular police team for the past 10 years. The team has not been changed. And then she's already, let me shock you. What they did in that very particular junction or bus stop is this: they don't want to know what you carry. They don't want to know, they don't want to check maybe you carry a tidbit or you carry gun, you carry anything. All what they're after is those motorists. They have them dog settle us, and then they will allow them to go. So what is all those things? Because, and then I want to believe those gang of police officers, they have people they will report them to. If they are not reported to someone and make the hierarchy in police, those gangs ought to be changed because it remains the same thing, the same officer for the past 10 years I've been seeing them. Yeah. So what is that message? The message they are passing through to us is that these people are set to some kind of high-ranking officer because that is why they are not in change. So, Dr. Adamu, I want to believe, I repeat myself, if that is that police reform that you guys are doing, I want to believe you put insurance, especially life insurance for these police officers because look at that, look at the family they left behind.
All right. Okay.
By extension, even the military.
Okay, Mr. Yakub.
Go and check the people they left behind in the cost of the door when they are no more.
Well spoken.
God bless you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Yakub. Well spoken. Again, you see, it goes back to what we were saying, Dr. Adamu. He's even directly said, please help me respond to this. I'm sure you'll comment on it. But this is the very kind of situation that ordinarily the indispensable Nigeria policeman, this is the way he is, sort of, unfortunately. And I don't think it can be denied that there has been progress. There has been progress in the way they are doing their job. The only thing we are told is that perhaps those of us who are not directly concerned with monitoring and observing these things might not have noticed. But undoubtedly there has been progress. The people that come out and speak for the police, ranging from the Force PRO and other eminent policemen, they are a far cry from the policeman that the ordinary Nigerian meets on the road. And even at that, it must be said that Nigerians now and again have seen fit to actually commend some Nigerian policemen that have been selfless and efficient and incorruptible in their duty. The issue is that there are not enough of those people. But maybe you'd like to start Dr. Adamu, from reassuring Mr. Yakub, if you can, that from a point of view of life insurance, we are taking care of our own in the police.
Yes, we can. We can't dispute the fact that there are issues with the police. Just like we cannot dispute the fact that as a country we cannot do without the police. So the onus, just like we've agreed, is to reform the police, and we've also agreed, there is no lack of enough momentum, as it were, to reform the police. What is missing is to actually reform the police. And so maybe my plea to all the callers is, why don't we now focus our energy on putting pressure on the right places in government to ensure that the reform is actually done? Because if we both want something, like we've all agreed that we want a reformed police, and it's not yet where we want it, and maybe the next thing is to come together as a people and say, this is what we want. We have a president at the moment who has stated it within his manifesto to us, he would actually reform the police. And like I mentioned, he's actually going about it, although I did mention one of the issues with his effort. So I think this is the time to start especially building consensus within the elite kind of that we want. Having said that, we have a good Uncle Yori. The Police Act that was reformed, that was reviewed by the Buhari administration, is a good starting point. There are several elements of that act that are yet to be implemented. And the fact that that act was actually reviewed is in itself a reform, because the last time that act was looked at was in the 1960s. Now in the 2000s, an administration has looked at it and has addressed some of the challenges regarding human rights, because most of the concerns we have with policing in Nigeria is human rights and rules of engagement. As an example, and I think this is a message to the current Inspector General of Police, Uncle Yori, why do we still have checkpoints on our roads? If you travel from Abuja to Benue, the last time I traveled, Uncle Yori, I counted 42 checkpoints. And with all sense of responsibility, Uncle Yori, I saw in almost all, again, with all sense of responsibility, this is not in any way meant to demean the police. I saw the officers there collecting money from commuters. And most of these commuters are business people who are moving goods between locations. So the result of that is that the prices of those goods will definitely increase, because if I'm a businessman and I have to pay a bribe along the route, I will definitely pass it to the consumer. 43, Uncle Yori.
Wow.
If you multiply most times the amount, again, with all sense of responsibility, I'm saying this. It's not in any way meant to demean. I'm bringing an issue to the forefront that we need to address. In modern day, with technology,
I'll tell you what, Doctor,
we don't need those.
I beg your pardon, Dr. Adamu, for interrupting, but we've got to go on a break now. We'll be right back and we'll continue with this. Do please stay with us.
Good morning, Marina Station and all the passengers. Efficient, it's comfortable.
This development will go a long way in reducing congestion and emission. The trains are long-term solution to Lagos traffic challenges.
This is where we take the final, decisions on policies, programs of government. I will have to ensure that, the narration of Lagos as a PLC is taken very, very seriously.
This is a major pedestrian bridge linking Oyingo here to Apapa Road over there.
With this overpass, we are providing what we call a permanent solution.
This place is one of the most dangerous areas at the biosecurity environment.
This can go into the news and every crumbs of your neighborhood.
Our goal is to remain as Africa's model megacity, to move our GDP from the 5-6 position to the 3rd position, and we believe it's achievable with all the commitments we have.
Explore the city of Lagos, where dreams are made and possibilities are endless. I'm Adedoja Salamadini. I live in Lagos, inside Lagos.
Doubt and fear doesn't occur at the canvas, it shows in the canvas. It shows the conation of raw earthen material slabbed, stroked and molded at a pace provided by the doubt and fear. Every move way in the struggle of one to the other, merging the past to the present, brushstrokes of colors seen but not known, for when the wailing stops, the pieces settle down in abject beauty erected for a century.
Okay, welcome back. Our guest is Dr. Kabir Adamu, Security Consultant and CEO of Beacon Consulting. And we're looking at the sad news that in a period of, over a span of about a year, 229 police officers have actually died in the line of duty by all sorts of, killed by all sorts of, criminals, ne'er-do-wells, and all those kind of people. In short, they've died death that they're not supposed to die. And we've been speaking about some of those reasons. Now, Dr. Adamu has, argued that reform is the only way out. And in particular, he said the Police Act that was looked at, that in itself is a kind of reform because the last time a look at was taken at it was somewhere in the 60s. Now, this reform, I was making the point that the policemen that the public are used to seeing over the media through the efforts of the first PRO, these are totally different from those that we meet. Yakub it was who phoned in and told of a particular gang of policemen who are doing what the high brass of the police would certainly not be approving. Nevertheless, it's been going on for ages. Now, would a reform sort of really look at the composition of the police force and know that there are certain kinds of people that are not suited to being such? Those policemen that are demanding tolls, if I were to use an euphemism, if I was to just use an euphemism, tolls at checkpoints, that's outright extortion, and could even extend to bribery. What can we do? Can we start again, put on examinations? If you don't have an O-level equivalent, you can't be trained as a police officer, so forget it. You need a certain level of education to understand what it is we're all about. Is that where we should go? I'm coming to you, Dr. Adamu, with those thoughts of mine, but I understand Ibrahim has called in. Ibrahim, good morning. Thank you for calling in. Ibrahim in Minna, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for calling in. Good morning.
Okay.
Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir.
And Doctor. Good morning, Uncle Yori. And Dr. Adamu.
Okay.
Yes, you know, the issue of police reform is something that is long overdue. The entirety of reform is like when you are talking about the reform of Nigeria as a society, because the police has that very vital role to play in management of the society. A country like Nigeria, where the level of crime is very prevalent. But the issue is that the Nigeria police we have is a reflection of our own society. It is not as if the police come from, they are not recruited from any other place, rather from us. And in those days, when you carry out recruitment has a basis. They check back. There is a kind of profiling they do.
Okay. Well, sorry about that. But, well, just to seize this opportunity to tell you that over in River State, there's an official commissioning of 2 blocks of flats and 2-bedroom, each for the Nigeria Air Force prototype residential building. That is the live picture. You're seeing live pictures of this, right now on your screen. Viewers on our terrestrial can continue with the program on our YouTube channel. Viewers in diaspora, there is no change. So we still have Dr. Kabir Adamo, security consultant, and we're looking at the subject matter of the policemen that have been killed, and we'll be mourning that fact. Okay, the Ibrahim calling in, was speaking last, and now perhaps is the time for me to let you comment on these matters. Dr. Adamo, is it that we're going to reform up to the level of even the caliber of person that, is admitted into the police force? Psychological
yes,
tests and that kind of a thing?
Yes, Uncle Yori.
Okay.
One of the challenges affecting the police at the moment is its recruitment process. It's marred by, I'm sorry to say, corruption and sometimes systemic problems within the recruitment cycle. I mean, anyone who has been following this, I'm very careful what I say because one doesn't want to seem as if you are too critical. But the reality is, reports have indicated recently, and of course in the past, how criminals, in some instances, even persons with characters and records, have found themselves into the police recruitment system. Now, it's not only as bad as that, but the fact that they will be recruited and then they would be trained. Because, I mean, you can recruit somebody, as in the military, as an example. If the person is recruited as a cadet, and then he or she is not physically or morally sound, believe me, through that cycle of training at the training school, it will be discovered. And most times that person would either have to leave. But in this instance, in the case of the police, the person will go through the training cycle, find his way, and still come out as a commissioned, sometimes officer or whatever rank it is that he was trained for. So the recruitment is defective, the training is defective, and then, of course, even the deployment is defective. But I'm very happy to note that this current Inspector General of Police, just last week, a conference was held on the concept of accountability within the police. And Uncle Yori, a lot of submissions were made, including by the incumbent IG himself, that if implemented, can address this challenge. So it's just about accountability from the concept of recruitment through the training process, and then through deployment, and of course, through promotion and all of that. Once you can instill accountability and elements around responsibility and rule of law, then it means people who are holding positions will recognize why they are holding those positions and not abuse the office and make sure they actually do the work they are supposed to do. If you are asked to recruit police cadets or whatever rank it is, you are asked to recruit them, and there is a criteria that has been set for their recruitment, you must comply by that, and you must make sure that those persons meet the standard for which the police, Nigeria police force has set for its personnel, as it were. I'm very delighted that this accountability element is coming to the fore, and I'm hoping that once it is implemented, it will address all of these challenges. You can have one bad egg, as it were, spoiling the entire crate, which is the case we have at the moment. A few bad eggs within the police system are giving the police a very bad name. If accountability is introduced and those bad eggs are identified and dealt with, then hopefully we would see a reduction in the number of bad elements within the police. And of course, the trust deficit that currently exists within citizens regarding their relationship with the police, hopefully it will be addressed. Because the moment you start having police officers living up to their expectation, I'll tell you a personal experience I had in Europe.
Sure.
We were on the road, and then one of these service vehicles blocked our lane, and we were there for almost 5 minutes because there were lots of cars coming on the other lane. From nowhere, a police vehicle appeared, and believe me, monitored what was happening, and then started creating avenues for those of us whose lane were blocked for us to pass. And that's how that issue was resolved. So tell me how I will not respect that kind of police that saw a problem and then address the problem immediately, allowing citizens to continue with their movement. The reverse would have been the case here.
Yes.
In our circumstance.
Indeed.
So this is what the type of police we need, that is there for citizens, that works for citizens, and that promotes citizens' welfare and protection. Then that trust deficit would reduce significantly if we see that kind of police. Indeed.
And I couldn't agree with you more, Dr. Adamu. And of course, that is what the country wants. Everybody wants the best of things. But you've said that, and it's not just because you said, it is also known that corruption is quite rife in that area, in the whole processes of even creating a police officer. People that shouldn't even really be in the force are there. People of dubious character who cannot pass a psychological exam, who, they just see the uniform as a way to extort. Now, this is by no means the average. We're not even holding this individual up as an example of the Nigeria police. Unfortunately, there are enough of them, of these type of people, up and down the land to give a bad name to the police. As I say, the police, all sorts of intellectuals are in there, all sorts of professionals are in there. There are lawyers, there are PhDs, there are doctors. But the man on the street, the representation to the ordinary man on the street is that, it leaves a lot to be desired. And this is where it'll have to be a seismic shift if what you say, Dr. Adamu, were to come into being. That is, those kind of little acorns will not develop in the process of training and selecting for training, will not indeed grow up into the oaks that we are now witnessing in Nigeria, and are not really representative of the soul and spirit of the Nigeria police, but it's all we've got. And then there's the other aspect of we don't even have anywhere near enough.
And frankly, the easiest solution here to this is for the embracing of M&E, monitoring and evaluation, within the policing system. So for every aspect of the policing institute and structure, an M&E component must accompany that aspect. In other words, if the current IG embraces this, he can ask each department, each unit to have an M&E framework that is tied into its institutional M&E framework for the Nigeria Police Force. And what that would do is, for each of those functions, there will be KPIs, key performance indicators, that are measurable. So as an example, crime rate, it's a measurable thing. If crime rate is increasing, we know the police is not doing well. If crime rate is reducing, we know the police is doing well. So once you can come up with a measurable KPI that would allow for some form of oversight, then I think it would have perhaps a timeline. And, you know, if we're going to be realistic, this reform that we're speaking about, it can't happen in 1 year. It can't happen probably in 2 years. So why don't we have a plan of, say, 10 years as an example, to say this is the framework, and these are the KPIs, and this is the period upon which we expect to see that the type of progress, perhaps in certain areas. As an example, Uncle Yuri, response calls. You are aware that at the moment, the police have this police complaints unit, where as a Nigerian, you can call if you've had any unsavory encounter with any police officer, or in fact, whatever distress situation you're in. And that thing is working very well. Okay. I can tell you from the time I started monitoring the activities of that unit, the time period for response has decreased. So we're seeing progress in certain areas, and it is because we're approaching it scientifically. Our development partners are supporting that work. So the police complaints unit, as an example, is being supported by a lot of our development partners. You can see a lot of campaign, a lot of sensitization around it. So let's pick things like that and work on them so that we can see an incremental progress over time. I think that's the type of reform that would be useful to us. If we do the bogus type of reforms that have happened in previous administration, I'm sorry to say we may look back and say this is another cyclical misadventure.
We've even been speaking to the quality of ordinary police officers, such as the ordinary members of the Nigerian public meet on the street. But that's speaking to the quality of such officers. There's also a matter of the quantity. I understand that in terms of all sorts of indexes, United Nations indexes of how many policemen to how many citizens, we are woefully behind in that as well. So there's the quality issue. There's also the quantity issues, that when we do even have the kind of policemen that will indeed fly the police flag proudly, we don't have enough of them.
Yes, Uncle Yuri, although I'm one of the few persons that you will encounter who does not necessarily subscribe to the second element, which is quantity. I subscribe to the first element, which is quality, but I don't necessarily subscribe to the element of quantity, and I'll explain why. The concept of policing is wide. At the moment in Nigeria, you have a lot of organizations that are actually carrying out policing functions. So it's not just the Nigeria Police Force, the NPF that we know that is the only institute for policing. You have this, to an extent, the civil defense. You have organizations like the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, ICPC, to an extent even the SSS, name them, that are carrying out policing functions, and that is even at the federal level. Now, if you go to the state level, you have several organizations that are carrying out policing functions. So it will be very difficult for someone to convince me that quantity is our challenge if you put all of this together. Perhaps that ratio of 1 to 400, 1 to 450 that the UN has recommended, perhaps we will meet it by the time you put all of that together. Then the second element, why I don't also subscribe to quantity, Uncle Yuri, anytime there is a conference where there will be ministers and other public office holders, you will be shocked at the number of police officers you see in that place.
Yeah.
Now, why are we not doing what the other committees of nations are doing? Why are we doing specific deployment? Why are we not doing concentric deployment? And I'll quickly explain what I mean by concentric deployment. Abuja has 6 municipal councils. Lagos has, I think, about, with the number of local governments and development councils that you have in Lagos, let's say about 40. So why wouldn't the Commissioner of Police in Abuja or Lagos sit down and deploy according to these concentric cycles? You have one airport in Abuja, and every time a government official is going to that airport, you see huge number of police convoys going with him. What if we deploy along that route to protect not just those government officials, but to protect every other person traveling on that route? Perhaps the number would even be less than the number that are now deployed, but we will not do that because of the corruption element that we talked about earlier on. So unless we address that corruption element, even the quantity issue will not be addressed. And this is the reason why, honestly, like I said, I don't subscribe to the quantity deficit. I do subscribe to the quality deficit, but not the quantity deficit.
Wow. Okay, Doctor. I hesitate to ask another question because we're really, skating at the very, very edge of the time allotted to us for this program. But as always, I do want to thank you for your incisive contributions to the subject matter at hand today. Thank you very much, Dr. Kabir Adamu, security consultant.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me as well.
Our pleasure. And CEO at Beacon Consulting. That's where we're going to have to leave it today. Do please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I am Yori Folarin. Bye-bye for now.
Hello, TVC Communications. How can I help?
What makes TVC the right choice for my business?
Excellent question, sir. Let me share some exciting facts with you.
Start your day on TVC Entertainment with Wake Up Nigeria, a family and lifestyle show. Your view empowers women globally.
It's your view, let it count.
Entertainment Splash delivers the hottest celebrity trends. On TVC News, we keep you informed with breaking news and in-depth analysis of events shaping the world.
I will continue to speak the truth.
TVC News at 7 and TVC News at 10 p.m. delivers the most important stories of the day. Max FM, your hit music radio station, captivates listeners daily across Lagos and Abuja, making every commute more enjoyable. Adaba 88.9 FM is not left out, as it is the voice of Southwest. And on TVC Digital, we reach 2 million viewers daily. All together, pulls in over 17 million viewers daily. Contact us on 0707-272-8338 or marketing at tvccommunications.tv. Partner with TVC Communications today. Let's grow together.
Good morning, Marina Station and all the passengers. Efficient, it's comfortable.
This development will go a long way in reducing congestion and emission.
The trains are a long-term solution to Lagos traffic challenges.
This is where we take the final, decisions on policies, programs of government. I will have to ensure that, the narration of Lagos as a PLC is taken very, very seriously.
This is a major pedestrian bridge linking Oyingo here to Apapa Road over there.
With this overpass, we are providing what we call permanent solutions.
This place is one of the most dangerous areas at the biosecurity environment.
This can go into the news and every crumbs of your neighborhood.
Our goal is to remain as Africa's model megacity, to move our GDP from the 5-6 position to the 3rd position, and we believe it's achievable with all the commitments we have.
Explore the city of Lagos, where dreams are made and possibilities are endless. Amadedoja Salamadini. I live in Lagos, inside Lagos.
Every weekday on Business Nigeria, we uncover the secrets of the financial world.
We analyze the stock market, shares, bonds, and the thrilling world of cryptocurrency.
Facts matter. Our team dives deep to separate facts from popular opinion.
We simplify complex government policies as it impacts your everyday life, helping you navigate the ever-changing financial landscape.
Watch Business Nigeria every weekday at 2 p.m. only on TVC News. First with breaking news.
There is always more to a story than the screaming headline. The part of a story that is not told casts a shadow. It's like the part of an object that is not reached by light. On TVC News, I'm able to explore the many angles there are to a story, talking to stakeholders, asking the difficult questions, and digging for facts. I believe the viewers are able to make a better decision if they're well informed and understand not just a part, but the complete story. TVC News, first with breaking news.
The TVC News at 7 and the TVC News at 10 are not like any other news broadcast.
It's the big news hour, the hour for the big breaking stories.
We've got some of the best reporters on the field,
taking you through as it happens.
It's fast-paced, hot-hitting,
with investigations that matter,
bringing in news that affect your life,
with sport, entertainment, and business news, so you don't miss a thing.
Experience resourceful coverage with depth.
Everything.
At TVC News, wherever the big news story is happening, we're geared up to break it. TVC News, first with breaking news.
Welcome to TVC Midday News. We start off in Oyo State, where the Commissioner of Police, Ayodele Shonobi, has assured residents of the state of improved security during and after Yuletide. CP Shonobi, at a security stakeholders meeting in Ibadan, emphasized that although the command had always been exceptional in maintaining peace in the state, this time it would up its game in the last lap of the year to check the activities of criminals. He called on residents to be security conscious and alert security operatives of any suspicious activities capable of threatening the relative peace enjoyed by people of Oyo State.
We've been on our toes, security-wise, not just because of this season, but emphatically because of the ember, the popularly known and called classified ember period. We've started that since September. And God has seen us through September, October, and November. And safely, me and you, and the entire state, we are already in December. So all we need to do is to up our game, step on it, and make sure all that we did that worked for us in the early ember months, we improve on it in the remaining part of the year.
Away from that, more than 250 persons from Boko Haram ravaged communities of Michika and Madagali local government areas of Adamawa State have undergone peace-building training in Yola. The training is organized by the Justice, Development and Peace Commission of the Maiduguri Catholic Diocese with the theme, Cultivating a Culture of Peace Through Dialogue. Senior reporter Hawulabi Adenisi filed in the story.
At this pali are members of worst-hit communities in Adamawa State by the outlawed group known as Boko Haram sect. The event, funded by Caritas Germany, brought together participants including stakeholders from Michika, Hong local government, government agencies, security organizations, religious institutions and non-governmental organizations. Speaking at the event, the Deputy Executive of the JDPC, Father Alphonsus Afina, emphasized the critical role of collective participation and advocacy in fostering peace and security within communities.
Foster peace among people of various religions, cultures, tribes, locality, and social statuses. And there are many components to peace, and peace-building activity has no limit. Therefore, on behalf of JDPC, Catholic Diocese of Maiduguri, through the Executive Director, I welcome you all to this peace conference.
In his keynote address, the Adamawa Sector Commander of the Federal Road Safety Corps, Yahaya Adiku, underscored the importance of sustained effort in promoting peace.
Each time I meet communities like this, I say, look, the lack of peace we have in our world is not from God. God didn't create the conflict that we have created. We humans, me, you, yes, you. I'm very emphatic, it's you and I that is the bedrock for conflict.
The conference featured topics like cultivating the culture of peace in plural society, dialogue with Muslims in Maiduguri diocese, and understanding the challenges of peace building in Nigeria, among others.
So whether there is Islam in the world or not, there will be crisis. Whether there is Christianity in the world or not, there will be crisis. So it's all left for us to be able to manage these things.
We need to cultivate this culture that produces the peace and stability that me and you can enjoy.
Discussions and interactions provided participants with deeper insight into effective peace-building strategies and the significance of fostering interfaith dialogue. The Commission reiterates that dialogue remains an indispensable tool in addressing societal conflicts and promoting harmonious coexistence.
Now to health matters. Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Ali Pate, has met with his Qatari counterpart, Minister of Public Health Mansour Al-Mahmoud, and agreed to a bilateral framework to enhance Nigeria's healthcare ecosystem. The coordinating minister held the critical meeting alongside other engagements with a multi-billion-dollar Qatari Fund for Development and Qatar Charities on the sidelines of the Doha Forum in Qatar.
Today, we had conversations with the Qatar Charities, and we agreed to collaborate in terms of medical outreaches and considering the expansion of the Vulnerable Groups Fund so that we protect our mothers from obstetric complications, cesarean section, and the affordability of that, consistent with the policy direction of our government to make sure that women do not die because they cannot afford the critical services that they need. We also had very rich discussion with the Minister of Public Health of the State of Qatar to explore collaboration in the human resource arena. In January, we will have Nigerian professionals visiting Qatar to look at the Qatar Rehabilitation Institute